Your body is holding the past and the ideas of the future. The future is probabilities available in the now, but the way that the average human mind functions is that it has ideas about the future, and these ideas are completely derived from the past experiences. So the future is a very limited perception of what is possible and how it's going to turn out to be. Not only in the possibility of events which will take place in the future, that is conditioned by environment and your beingness as such, but the future is a very limited perception of how you will be in the future. You see, it is much more important to be in the now, to create from the now your future, rather than to anticipate what events will take place. That is only the eventual perception of the future. There is another perception of the future which is how you will be, how you will feel in the future. So who is considering how you will be feeling in the future? How you will be thinking in the future? How you will be being in the future? How you will be operating in the future? So the average human mind perceives the future only anticipation in terms of events that will take place. And that's where all your hopes and anxieties are. What events are going to take place in the future? But if you change your focus and perception to realize that focusing on how you will be in the future is going to eventually make the events much more in your favor. You will be more successful, we may say, if you focus on your being, because you will operate from the level of being, totally in the now, totally managing every moment, fully, completely, absolutely. So it all comes back yet again to the now. All your future is depending literally on your beingness in the now. How close you are, how capable you are to process this present moment. How capable you are to be and process this present moment. That is your whole future, dependent on the now. The past, yet again, it's the same thing. It's unprocessed circumstances, events, experiences which happened in the past, and they were unprocessed because you had no capacity to be fully in the now and to process those experiences. So thus, the limited consciousness has interlocked and stored that experience for the future processing. It's called a backlog. It's a backlog of past events which your body is holding right now. Your physical body, your organs, your energetic body, your chakras are limited, interlocked, or even blocked. And everything becomes limited, veiled. And if the person continues living without processing what they have already accumulated in the present, everything just locks in more and more, and that's called the process of crudification. The consciousness crudifies because everything is kept and being unprocessed. And the past completely shapes your present and your future. Because your present experience is a direct mirror of your past. And only for brief moments can you truly glimpse into the boundless now. Can you truly see the brightness of the sun. And then immediately again the past veils, the future is predicted or excited or worried, anxious. So it's a constant veiling going on, and mainly 90% because of the past, unprocessed past. So coming back to the now is not the journey to the future, is not the journey to achievement. It's a lot about processing what you're holding now, what is hindering you right now. And that is generally called conditioning. Psychological, mental, emotional, energetic conditioning. And in the older traditions that would have been referred to as karma. But in the new terminology, it is unprocessed conditioning. Because of incapacity to be fully in the now and process what is given to you right now. So thus, it was derived to come to the map of spirituality or map of consciousness, levels of consciousness, which details the levels of human conditioning. This is new to some of you. It's another view of the map of spirituality. It details the degree of human conditioning. Now, most of you are familiar with the levels of consciousness, but we're bringing another view that it actually details the degree of conditioning. So the lower the level of consciousness, of course, the more crudified it is. The more everything is interlocked and blocked. And that is called a limited consciousness, a limited being. That's obviously all the most difficult feelings that one experiences: depressions, traumas, anxieties. As one exits the victim-abuser consciousness, they're actually exactly the same, victim or abuser, because even by being a victim, you're still abusing yourself, or being abuser, you're still victimizing yourself. So it's literally the same thing. But for average human people, it's a journey temporarily into some difficult circumstances or emotions. The average human beings, they reside at the level of self-empowerment, which is basically courage, a simple courage to sustain life, a simple courage not to break down mentally, a simple courage to keep the sanity going. This is about 30% of human civilization, just to be sane. And if you observe the major cities in the world, what they're doing, they're working like crazy, and then at the end of the day, they're going to the pubs to lower their consciousness, to relax. So there's a saying, work hard, play hard, isn't it? Be stressed at work, go and get drunk to get relaxed. This is the average major city in the world. So speaking in terms of consciousness is just having that balance of sanity, of that kind of life. a balance of sanity before something more comes in and the mental breakdown occurs. You know, that's the average life in a major city. And now there's a big portion of population which are moving away from big cities because it's insane. They're recognizing that. The big cities are good, we could say, only for young people to experience the diversity, you know, to maybe to study at university as such, generally speaking. This is a very vague general, keeping in mind the current situation. I'm not speaking about the actual conscious way of living. But in a normal circumstance, it's right now, it's just good for some teenagers or young adults just to experience diversity and culture and opportunities, you know, all these opportunities, until they get exhausted chasing those opportunities. So that's about 30% of humanity. So just having the sanity to operate normally, that's called the neutral normal state of consciousness. Now there's another portion of humanity which are a bit more focused on the heart, and they're more connected with emotions. It's no longer only the business, you know. There are emotions too, and we need to consider that too. So that's where the 300s are, and then all the acceptance, forgiveness, letting go, and as such, is just the basic, a very basic meeting with your emotions, a primitive, basic meeting with your emotions. That's all that is. So that is another 10-20% of human civilization who have a simple capacity to start feeling their feelings and not shoveling them away. And then there are the intellectuals, you know, the scientists, the philosophers, the technology intellectuals, and who actually fully utilize the limited potential of their intellect only. The limited potential of their intellect only. And now in Silicon Valley, they're coming up with these ideas of hacking reality. You know, hacking and you know, just getting a glimpse of higher consciousness experience. They call hacking life. There's even the major news outlet, Life Hacker. You know, just to glimpse beyond the veil, beyond the matrix, to glimpse beyond the programming. So that's called the life hacking, which is a new big trend for the intellectuals. You know, how can we hack this reality? But in reality, it's just a glimpse to the reality, which is actually an altered perception of reality. It's not the real reality. It's just the altered perception of a higher energy or higher dimension. That's all it is. So then we come to the conscious awakening, the spiritual awakening. And that's where things start to get real. This is where we come to the journey, to become awakened to the journey. And that's where the real thing begins. The real thing starts, and we know the levels in the map of spirituality. I will not repeat all of them, because that journey is actually much bigger. It's from 400s to 1000. Before it was a simple, much smaller reality. So when you awaken to spirituality, it's actually a much bigger journey in front of you than your whole past. Because on the scale of from 0 to 1000, the spiritual awakening is the level of 400. So that's the beginning of your journey way back to the now, to the full consciousness. So returning to the now is actually a very complicated process. And this is why only few have actually done that. Because the conditioning is so dense. The conditioning is so deep. It even goes back to your past lives, to a certain genetic, karmic, soul events of the past. So the conditioning is carried even throughout your lifetimes, because certain things need to be cleared from your past lifetimes, because you are eternal being. So if certain events took place in your past lifetimes, they are still have shaped your personality in the present birth. There were certain conditions of the present birth and certain challenges you inherited through this birth. And yes, if your birth was complicated, if your childhood was traumatic, that is the indication of the past lifetime distortions that need to be re-healed. But it's not karma as such. There is nobody here to judge you or punish you unless you want to do it yourself. That is totally up to you. Well, unless the Christianity has brainwashed you as well. So if there's a certain social religious brainwashing, then yes, you may imagine that there is somebody in the sky watching you and judging you. But that's completely not real. The only person who can judge you or cause you suffering is yourself. And do you accept that responsibility? Because that is your power. There's a big power beneath that. That's why this power was hijacked to somebody in the sky. Because when you realize that you are holding that power to either love yourself or judge yourself, you don't need anybody in the sky. You have power to either love yourself or judge yourself. To learn how to harmonize yourself or to cause more suffering to yourself. You hold that power. It is only you who is holding that power, and I'm reminding you that. So forget about anything else. Because human beings are very superstitious and at the same time very weak. At the same time, Christianity was also hijacked that Jesus is the Savior. It is a completely different message that he was bringing. He was bringing the message of love and the message of your inner power. And that you are the son and daughter of the divine, of God, of the absolute. You are the son and daughter when you take the power back into your hands. So Jesus, if he was alive, he would have said to the mainstream Christians, you are fools. You were waiting for 2,000 years to have the power in your hands. It was hijacked. My message was totally different. But this is what the Romans did and the Vatican did to hijack the whole thing and to get the power in their hands to control the masses. And this has been going on for how long? For more than 2,000 years. This is crazy. So at least now, 2,000 years later, I can tell you that you have this power to love yourself or judge yourself, to harmonize yourself, evolve to your freedom or return to your freedom, or keep on suffering and creating more suffering to yourself. And there is no such a figure as only one God. Well, it is the now. It is the full consciousness, the light of seeing of the now. That is what is called God. Omnipresent, your awareness, consciousness is always present. That is obvious. It's omnipotent, that your awareness and consciousness has the full power. You have the full power if you choose so, and if you feel the responsibility to have that power. And it's omniscient, it's all-knowing. So with the light of seeing and awareness, consciousness, you will know everything. So let's decode those hidden messages and realize that everything is here already. And you just need to learn how to use what you have now. And to heal that which is distorted, programmed, conditioned. So the map of spirituality serves a purpose as a map, as a GPS to indicate the degree of your remaining conditioning. And if you turn the point of view of you, you're saying, oh, I'm in 600s, I'm so cool now. If it happens very often. Yes, and if you change the view to say, I'm in 600s and I'm still conditioned by another 400s above me, that you might be a bit more humble with that. So this is not for the ego game either. It's just a map. It's neutral by itself. This paper, this map is neutral by itself. It just simply tells where you are right now, how much is left. But all the meaning and what you derive from it, that is personal to you. You can either be humble and strong and willing to progress forward, or you can become also egoic and just play the games of levels, which is, it does happen sometimes. So it's simply a map. It's neutral. It doesn't say love me, hate me, judge me. It doesn't say anything like that. It's just a map. And then it just gives a clear reference point where you are. And it holds no judgment as such. It just holds the truth. But the truth can be hijacked into judgment or humbleness. So that's, humans are so complicated. They're always wanting to distort something, to twist it, to make something out of it, and some people will hold on to it, like, people will come up with different things depending on their conditioning. So map of spirituality, levels of consciousness indicate the remaining conditioning and your progression towards your full freedom, your full power, which is the biggest gift that it's a gift of life existence, to be in full consciousness. It is the biggest gift of life existence, because you are life existence. You are full, boundless consciousness. Even consciousness is very new to most of you. Like, what does it really mean? Like, yeah, consciousness, yeah. It sounds so cool, you know, consciousness. Everybody speaks about it. What does it really mean? What is it? It is now. You are aware, conscious now. That's what it means. Stop for a moment. Just stay there for a bit. Are you satisfied with that? Is it enough to know that? That you are aware, conscious now? Now that is the distance. And some of you will say, I don't get it. That's the long journey, yes. That's what it means. Some of you will say, I sense it. There is something very real about it. Well, that is already close. Some of you will feel an immediate contraction. I don't have it. That's a direct mirror. That what is the distance? What is in between? Some of you will feel, oh, I'm quite well where I'm right now. I'm quite present. And I know it's there. I know it's in the background. I know I can just glimpse it there. It's there. I'm present. It's there. But I can see my distance. No, that is already advanced way of being. Some of you will think, oh, I need many years. Many years. Your mind says so. Some of you will say, might take a few lifetimes. Your mind says so. You need a few lifetimes to realize and be fully satisfied that you are aware and conscious now. To be fully satisfied and to realize that that is the absolute gift of life. Being aware and conscious now is the end. That's the whole thing. But you have to fully be satisfied with that. And to feel that boundlessness, to feel that joy, to feel that happiness of now, love of now, harmony of now. To fully love every moment. Sometimes, you know, I can already sense like, oh, I will love every moment. No. You have to fully be satisfied with now. There's nothing missing. If something is missing, that is the distance, the conditioning, what is in between. So when you will be able to live with nothing is missing, that it's total satisfaction to live in the now. That you're absolutely happy and you're completely boundless and free, and you can simply see that that was the mind. These were the contractions. These were limitations. to fully see that too. So every one of you has it already. You are already alive, conscious, aware right now. You have it. There is the distance. What is in between? What is veiling? What is missing? What is not right? What is not good? What causes you suffering, not happiness? The now, in the full consciousness, the now is experienced as happiness, being really happy, being really alive, being effortless, being spontaneous, being peaceful, but not like lost somewhere. You're peaceful because there's nothing disturbing you inside. There's nothing disturbing you inside. There's no inner chatting, the little conversations in your head, they just disappear. When they disappear, you're happy. There's no one arguing inside you, So I'm revealing to you what is this now, really, and how it is meant to be lived. How it is meant to be lived. The higher qualities of now is for those who are more older souls and more advanced, energetic, cosmic beings. So this is why you would see some teachers, some gurus, some masters who can be always in bliss, who can be always completely, absolutely undisturbed, who can be in that love, who can radiate that intensity. So these are older, more advanced, more evolved cosmic souls. Now that takes some evolution on the universal scale. But to be in full consciousness, it is for everybody. So you don't need to look at the picture of a guru and either try to become exactly like that or say that's not for me, it's impossible. Because you need to change your focus to be yourself, to be the best version of yourself, to be who you are boundlessly, to be the best you, to be the best businessman, to be the best chef, to be the best artist, to be the best musician, to be the best social worker, to be the best healer, to be the best teacher, to be the best who you are. And live boundlessly, freely, holding your own power in your own hands. So don't get discouraged and don't get distracted by other teachers and gurus either. They are the best versions of themselves, but sometimes they don't tell you that. Sometimes, some of them are not clear about that too. So my message to you is that you can be in full consciousness as the best version of yourself, freely, boundlessly. So I don't want anybody to become me. You don't have to mimic me and try to be like Mindo and do like that. No, you don't have to. Be yourself. Be yourself. And be free. Hold the power in your hands. Responsibility, yes. You need to take responsibility absolutely of yourself. Responsibility means ability to respond correctly in the present moment. And that is your lifetime responsibility. To be able to respond correctly in every present moment. And if you can't handle a certain situation, well, next time you will improve on it. That's how you grow. And if you can't do something, do not judge yourself. You're all children of life. Learn, evolve, grow, make mistakes and grow. Learn from them. Judgment is a blockage of growth. Learn, play, make mistakes, evolve. That's how you grow. That's how you experiment life. Nobody was born fully knowing how to live. You learn through it. You evolve, you grow through it. So never ever judge yourself or others, because it just blocks you immediately. You just literally hit your head in the wall when you judge. And when you judge somebody else, well, you don't know them. You're not fully them. You don't know their soul journey. You don't really know their depth of their struggle. And some of the other people, they can be absolutely opposite than you are. But who said that life is supposed to be only your way? You know, it's this way exactly as we all are right now. And we are all meant to play this life exactly in all these different ways. So judgment is a lack of understanding. It's a blockage because of lack of understanding, lack of insight, lack of wisdom. That's called judgment. So responsibility. And yes, you do need to learn a lot more about others, a lot more about your enemies. They're the best teachers because they're opposite than you are. You need to learn a lot more about those who give you trouble because they're always giving you a good lesson. Those who give you trouble, they're your best evolutionary assistants. At some point in my life I was reviewing, so who else was giving me trouble? Why? Oh, okay, these energies, I need to learn more. Like like at some years ago I was reviewing my whole lifetime to see who gave me trouble. Like, oh, okay, I see that there was a lesson there, and these energies were playing out. It's amazing that those who give you trouble are your best assistants to evolve if you choose the right relationship. Now, sometimes you can't handle certain things. That is also real, that you can't handle certain things. So you need to grow a bit more. Take your time, meditate more, practice more, experiment more, be with yourself a bit more, that you become stronger, and then you can handle that challenging situation. So if you can't handle something, don't judge yourself either. like you wouldn't judge a child that they can't, make on computer something which is meant for adults, children, you know that. But you're judging yourself that you can't handle something very complex. So I'm telling you as your spiritual, we could say, father, that don't judge yourself. Because yes, you will come to many situations that you can't handle them. And that only means that you need to grow and strengthen a bit more. So how come nobody taught you this? The basics of living. Is it spiritual what I'm saying now? The basics of living? It is human, isn't it? It is very human, and to recognize that yes, everybody's learning, everybody's struggling, everybody wants to be happy, to be free, that yes, we need to learn how to be responsible, how to respect others, ourselves, how to honor ourselves. Judgment is lack of understanding, lack of insight, lack of wisdom, lack of seeing another. Anger is lack of understanding. Why you do get angry? Because you don't understand something. That's why you're angry. Because you don't understand something. Another person can't understand something. So you create a distance and you scream at another in front of another face. You can't hear me. Listen to me. What a huge lack of understanding that is. An ability to listen to another. So if we just become a little bit more patient, just a little bit more patient, a little bit of listening, a little bit of openness to hear another, to say, okay, tell me. Don't rush to tell your story, you already know it. When you're angry, you just want to tell your story because the other person can't hear it. So, step number one, be a bit more patient, listen a bit more, be a bit more open to hear another, and that's how you create that gap, that gap. And in that gap there comes the mutual understanding. And then it's like, okay, I can accept it. I can accept the difference. I will make more space inside me, burning with anger. Ugh, all that steam coming out of you. You just created more space for the steam to come out. So the next time you're angry, you can imagine that your head is burning. The steam is coming out of your head. Well, that's why you turn red, isn't it? And what is depression? It's a deep pressure. It's a deep pressure of the mental heaviness. That is depression. Deep pressure of the mental heaviness. That is a tough cookie. That is a tough one. Sadness is lighter. Sadness is also lack of understanding. It's like, why is the world not my way? Why is this different? The sadness says, why is it different? That's what it's saying, isn't it? Like, to really cut it sharp, why is it different? Why is the world not as I think it is? Why is the world not like I thought it would be? Why didn't it happen as I expected? I put so much expectation. And the reality turned differently. I was expecting so much. And the reality became different. So there is a lack of understanding how reality is. So now in a spiritual term it's called ignorance. Ignorance of the truth. And the truth, what is the truth? It's knowledge how it all is. It is seeing and knowing how it all is. Not a mental knowledge as such, it is seeing and being, practicing alive the way it is. Truth, I will tell you one thing, truth is meant to be practiced and lived. Now, it will ring a bell to some of you. Truth is meant to be practiced and lived. If you think that the truth is I got it and let me keep it, it becomes mental, isn't it? Who got it? The mind, it got it. It completed that moment of enlightening, that little gap. But if you camp on it, it becomes knowledge, it becomes past. It literally becomes past, mental past. So truth is meant to be recognized, practiced, and lived. That is the truth of life, the truth of existence, the truth of now. It's not meant for you to get something. These are completions of your mental knowledge, to get something, to realize something. It's a mental knowledge, a mental completion. Realization, it's a mental completion. Self-realization, let's remove word realization, which is a mental completion. What is left is the self. It's consciousness, it's now. Realization, it's a process. To complete into absolute seeing of yourself now consciousness. And then what do? You live it. You live it. You practice it, you live it. You live the truth. You live existence. You live life. You live love. You live happiness. You live peace. You live intelligence. Intelligence always reveals itself in the present moment. Knowledge is always old. Do we get that? Knowledge is always old. Intelligence is always in the now, revealing itself now. So there is a huge difference between intellect, knowledge, which is the same thing. Intellect is the smartness, the smarty panty. I know it all. It's the smarty panty of what you have read in your books and what they said on TV. So intellect and knowledge is always the past. It's already old. Yes, you know it already. What a big deal, you know it already. Intelligence is revealing in the now. And it's always new, it's always fresh, it's always wow. It's always, where did that come from? Wow, is that so cool? Where did that come from? I didn't know I know that. Well, of course, because it's called intelligence. You didn't know that you know that. Yes, you just said so. You didn't know because it was revealed just now. So intelligence reveals how things work, and truth is lived right now. So how many more years do you need to get the truth, that you will need to live the truth, that you need to practice the truth, that you need to practice learning how to live, that you need to increase your capacity to deal with what the present moment gives you? Now let's change our perception that my goal is to get enlightened in 5 years' time or 2 years' time, and let's change that whole goal into the practice of the now. Deal with what you are experiencing now. And some people don't want that. They say, I like to hope a bit more because the responsibility of the now, it's a bit too complicated. I have to do a lot of, I have to do some work. So then many spiritual people choose the path to hope that one day they will get enlightened. That's a fool's game. And if the teacher is at least conscious, they will tell, well, do your practice now. Because hope is the fool's food. It's the food of the future, which has no power in it. Does hope has any power in it? Does it give you any power, hope? No. Simple, no. And let's not confuse it with faith and trust. Now that you need to trust, to have faith. I prefer to use word trust, because faith is also a bit heavy in terms of religion, so let's use the word trust, that you will return to your full power. And to trust that yes, there might be circumstances which are challenging, and they simply mean that you need to become stronger. That's it. So hope gives you no power. Trusting yourself gives you power. Now, anything else that religions teach you, let's examine that. There is a saying that, do you know who knows the Bible the best? The Buddhist monk. Because they can look at it with the fresh eyes, without being conditioned and without any kind of belief or previous programming. And when they will read the Bible, when a Buddhist monk reads the Bible, they will say, oh, that's crap, no, that's not real, that's not true, what's this? And oh, that was real, that is a good sentence, yes. And so when he would read the whole Bible, he would leave maybe 10% out of it, which is the truth. And the rest is just stories and blah, 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 and distortions and control mechanisms as such. And maybe 10% is the real thing. So that's the whole Bible. And the Bible is so twisted as well that it gives you a little hint of truth and then it puts a whole story of how to control you with it. Huh? You get that? It gives you a little taster of truth and then the story goes on that trust in God, trust in church, trust in the, believe, have faith, Jesus will save you, love yourself, and then the whole story goes on, give your power away to us, which the church has put secretly in. So reading a Bible is a very complicated task. And you literally have to read it with the eyes, does it give power back to me, or does it give power back to belief and to the church? Where does the power go as you read something? And that's how it's designed, to give you a little bit of truth and then to control you through it. It's brilliant how it's made. It's like, wow, it's a masterpiece of manipulation. It's amazing. Of course it has truth in it, but these are the breadcrumbs that only those who are not Christians or those who are really open-minded and have no previous programming from their childhood, that they can really have the critical way of seeing things and recognizing those little diamonds there, It has many diamonds, it has those bits of truths. And to what extent do you need those stories of the past which happened 2,000 years ago? Come on, we're living now. Live now. This civilization is totally different than it was in the past. So for example, Bhagavad Gita is very beautifully written because the only story is the story of the war between the truth and the conditioning, and how the truth reveals itself and wins that war at the end. There is only one story about that. It's the inner struggle. It's how we constantly need to overcome our inner conditioning, our old habits, our old ways. So I will tell you that it's so easy to be in your old habits. It's so easy, isn't it? I know how to do this already. I have pre-programmed myself in the last 20 years. So habit is a program that you trained yourself to live by it. This is called a habit. You literally pre-programmed yourself day by day to do the same thing so that it becomes automated. It's an automated process called a habit. Now you have to be very careful with your habits. Why? Because it's autopilot. It is an autopilot. And it's not intelligent at all. So where is it going, the autopilot? You know, the most of humanity is living on autopilot. We actually know the precise number that the average human person is living 96% on the autopilot. 96%. Everything is conditioned and it's on autopilot. And only 4% of consciousness, awareness seeps into the average human person by birth. So when we look around, you know, people are contemplating being afraid of robots and AI. Everybody's already a robot living on AI. Everybody is already artificially programmed and living as robots 96% of their whole life. And then you're afraid of a mechanical robot. That's ridiculous. Maybe the mechanical robot one day will tell you, well, you are the robot. And then you will get it. Oh, that's real. So they would, you know, they would become a mirror of what is already happening for the last thousands of years. So you have to be very careful with your habits. That's where you can practice a bit of mindfulness. Mindfulness is a good tool to deprogram your habits. Because it says be in the moment, feel the flower, feel the things and the texture and everything. Be here, be in the moment. Mindfulness, though, is not present and it's not the real now, full now, because it's a focused moment. You understand that? It's a focus moment. You're mindful picking something, you're mindful touching something. It means you're fully focused on what you're doing in the moment. The boundless now is you are free. You don't need to be concentrated as such. You don't need to be concentrated not to be in your mind. So you don't have to be concentrated to be mindful to be in the now. That's what the freedom means. You don't need any effort anymore. So yes, you can still focus on things, and of course your eyes are moving and things are happening, but there is no effort, and you have no effort not to be in the mind. So that is what means the boundless now. So you have to be careful of your habits, because they're automated programs. They don't really help you at the end. Mindfulness is a good tool to deprogram them. And step by step, you have to be more alive, more present, and more recognizing what else is pre-programmed, what else is contracted, what else is limited inside you. And bit by bit, you fish them out. Okay, I will tell it spiritually. You heal them, you take care of them, you transcend them, you just fish them out. They're like they're like little bugs, you know. Like let's say that this is a computer, and you have automated software running your computer, your body-mind computer. It's an automated software on autopilot. And then there are many viruses, which are all kinds of glitches inside you. And the sadness and anger and this and this and that, this is where you get the blue screens of reality. So there are many bugs and many Trojan horses that sabotage the operating system, that break down, and you know, your whole body gets devastated, and depressions and traumas and anxieties as such. So these are the Trojan horses. The little viruses, they're the little bugs, you know, they're constantly bugging you. Something is constantly not giving you peace. And then there is a lot of software automated. So you have to de-automate it to be alive, to be alive. To feel the aliveness in the present moment. Because this is alive. This is alive. What else is alive? Is yesterday alive? No. It's finished. It's gone. Is tomorrow alive? It will be, but it's not alive yet. It will be alive, yes. Don't be afraid. It will come. Tomorrow will come. Don't be afraid. It will come, but don't be confused. It's not alive yet, because this is alive. Because you take tomorrow for granted and you confuse it that tomorrow is more real than today. And when you are confused that tomorrow is more real than today, your body doesn't know what to do. It says like you're confused. Because there's a mental energy that tomorrow is more real than today, and that's called a massive anxiety. Tomorrow, because tomorrow is more real than today. And your body is confused. Your body says today is real. And your mind is telling tomorrow is more real than today. So there's a massive glitch in your system. Like it's confused. Like your body is so intelligent, but you're confusing it so many times with your mind that many times the body suffers. And that's why you get those big belly aches with anxieties and worries and big heaviness in your chest and your heart and so forth. Because something else appears to be more real than this present moment, which is actually alive.